Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Viva Divine, the Divine Podcast. And on this episode of the podcast, we are chatting with my friend, Ollie Perry. And usually I try and give a little bit of background about my friends that are coming on to the show to chit-chat with me about their journey. But I really can't say much right now. I think you should just listen to the show. So, here we go.
Raising the collective consciousness. Raising the collective consciousness.
Viva Divine.
Living in awareness.
Hi, Ollie. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Divine Podcast. I'm so grateful that you're here. Welcome aboard.
I'm delighted to be here and actually very honored. Yes, thank you.
Well, I have this thing where I wanted to introduce the world to the people that have been very important to me, my friends who have helped me on my journey and walk the path. And one thing that our listeners need to know about Ollie is that Ollie kind of was like the footfalls in front of me to lead me to a lot of different things.
Oh,
yeah, because I think we started out in the Oneness Ministry at Unity, and we started there, and then we went on to Reiki, and then Ollie has totally expanded into this amazing gift of his, which we're going to hear a little bit of it later. But I wanted to introduce him to you, but I also wanted him to just kind of tell our listener just a little bit of what was the catalyst that started this spiritual walk for you.
Oh wow! So that's a pretty loaded question, but the moment that I can always put my finger on. So I woke up one Sunday morning and I had been to Unity once before, probably months prior. It had been my first time to ever step foot on the campus there. But so I woke up one Sunday morning and I literally just had this feeling inside of me that I didn't know what it was. Like I was, I just wanted to cry. And it was like joy and almost of like an anxious feeling all together. And all I could think of was, I'm going to church today.
Oh, wow.
And so I went to my husband Clint and I said, I'm going to go to church today. He's like, okay, well, have fun. So I got in the car and drove, and I cried the whole way there. I remember parking and going in, and the emotion that I felt while I was there. And what I won't ever forget was that as I was sitting there, when we talk about oneness and spirituality and the way things hit you in the moment, like in that instant moment when you hear something and it just resonates with you. And I'm sitting there, and of course I've had this very emotionally charged morning, and Michael Gott comes out and he just shakes his whole body and goes, wow, somebody really woke up this morning. And it just hit me in such a way that wow, I'm here. And I just felt like, this is a place where we feel each other, right? Like it's deeper than any other place I'd ever been into.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been going to Unity of Houston, and we'll talk about that a little bit more down the road about how that has definitely been, for both of us, a huge change or expansion in our lives, because it's a new thought. It's not new age. It's new thought. It's expanded thought. And, coming from where I come from, this has all been excitingly new for me.
Yes, absolutely.
So I always appreciate, Ollie, the things you've told me along the way. There were moments that I think you introduced me to another opportunity to expand.
Oh, wow.
So, so oneness was the first thing. Because I will tell you this, when I would just come for Diksha at Unity. Yes. I would never do anything else. I'd just go home. And then one day you said, you should come to the Tuesday night meetings. And I'm like, I can? And I didn't know that. And I think that introduction to that first circle of love, that's really what it is, opened up a lot of things for me. So you've been going to Unity a little bit longer than I have. Is there anything else that you can think of while you've been there that has definitely had a profound effect on your level of consciousness, your experience, your love for people?
Well, I just have to go back to what you just said, though. And I you touched my heart, and I got chills when you said that. So I'm glad that, I'm happy to hear that the words that I spoke, right, were able to that you were able to feel that. Yeah, so you talked about the oneness circle, and I found all these things at Unity kind of by mistake. These are like things they don't advertise,
right? Yeah, they don't.
Not in a big way, right?
Right.
You might see it like a little one-liner somewhere, and that's kind of how it's like, oh, they meet on Tuesdays. Well, I'm going to go do that, and so that was that for me. The oneness group was definitely kind of like what catapulted me right into and just into discovering myself, really, my spirituality and who I am, right? And then the Reiki circle was also the same thing. It was early on when I started going to Unity, I guess maybe 6 years ago. And it was, and then it was a small, tight circle. And, it was, I could feel, right? I could feel things in my body that I could not remember feeling, right, in this lifetime.
Right.
And so I knew that, and it felt natural. It wasn't anything that I was scared of. And literally it's like, Michael Gott has a song, like in the title of it, I believe is Nearer Than the Air. Well, that's what it feels like, right? When you really feel an energy moving through you, it's nearer than the air that we breathe.
Yeah.
And it's natural. It's like who we really are. We're energetic beings, and, my path or the things that I have experienced have allowed me to remember, or just have helped me remember who I am. And that's what it feels like for me, because I can't on a human level explain any of this necessarily.
I know exactly what you mean.
But at the same time, I know that my body knows that this is who I am.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we've connected through the Reiki circle too, and grown through that, because we both ended up becoming Reiki masters. I mean, I try and tell people, like, if you start doing Reiki and you start to feel it for yourself and start to share that energy with others, you are going to end up moving deeper into it, because it just opens up your life in so many ways.
Right.
So, and you and I have seen a lot of amazing things happen with that circle.
Oh, yes.
And its growth. What do you think is going on with that?
I believe that a couple of things. I believe that one is people are becoming more comfortable being themselves around other people. So it's like they're coming out of the closet, if you will. Whereas, like for me, I can tell you from my personal experience, I kind of thought I was alone. Even when I started going to Unity, even when I was in the Reiki circle in the beginning, even all the things that I was doing with other people, I still felt very alone, because I wasn't connecting on a human level. And what I have discovered is that we have to ground our spirituality, right? We have to ground all this energy that we feel, and that's what Unity has allowed for me, right? It's just the ability to learn, or to ground, right?
Yes.
And that's because it's a balance, a spiritual balance and a human balance, right? We're a spiritual being, but we're having a human experience.
Bingo.
And it's like, we can be lofty in spirituality, but if we don't actually put action to it, then really, who are we?
Who are we?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like putting your foot in front of the other, putting your foot in front of the other and actually doing something. Okay. And yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back, because you just said something to me that triggered a very powerful memory, because we actually really connected before Unity. And this was because I know that feeling that you were talking about, feeling alone. For a really long time also, I felt like I was just like, I'm the only person that's feeling this, or I don't know where these other people are, and you're shifting from your friendships or family members. And so that feeling of being alone. And I think you and I connected because of the Oprah Live Your Weekend.
Yes.
That's where that happened. And I remember coming over, and I remember feeling like, as I'm talking to you here, that you were like, oh, somebody else that is like,
gets it.
It's happening to them too.
Yes.
And so I think it's one of the things I always tell people, it's really important to remember that even though you start off on this journey and you might feel alone, eventually you will find people.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So can we talk about some more about that? Like, how has that been for you? Because I've seen you find people.
Yes. So kind of in the second part of my answer to your question about the Reiki circle, for the first one is that, it's like coming out of the closet, right?
Yeah.
People are coming out of the closet with their spirituality.
Right.
And just finding or seeing that other people, hey, there's some people that they're doing this.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is just the human connection part is and now in a much bigger way. I think maybe it's the time we're in, that's happened. I mean, there's a lot of people that have different ideas about this, but I certainly do believe that there is something that's going on right now at this particular moment in time where people want to connect.
Yeah.
It's like now we're joining forces, holding hands, and we're doing it through love.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So for me, my dark night of the soul kind of was, I had a moment where it was almost like, okay, God, prove it to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm done. I can't do this anymore. You just have to prove it to me. I just can't do this anymore. And wow.
Yeah.
Like, you say something like that,
they show up. It shows up. Whatever God is, it shows up.
And whatever your belief system really, you're going to see it. And the darkness, the light, all of it's going to come through. So it's almost like just put your seatbelt on. What you find though, it's all love. And it's all like I'm discovering it's me, right? It's me, it's God, it's love, it's the universe, and I have come to really start to see that I am fully supported, like in a way that I would have never imagined before. And people show up when I least expect it. And the other thing is more than just people showing up. It's the feelings that, now that I have taken care of my body and I can hear my body speaking to me. The feelings I get where I used to feel scared or nervous or fearful, I now realize, oh, that's really just excitement because something great is about to happen. So it's turning around where I used to be in fear mode, right? And almost like hell consciousness. And now it's like, I can see, oh, there's light. There's that heaven consciousness, right? That
love it.
Divine consciousness, if you will, the Christ consciousness that we all really desire to be in.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. That's pretty powerful. I always say during the episodes that as we talk and, we're in this energy, that stuff just shows up perfectly because somebody needed to hear that. Somebody really needed to hear that. So you have been coming to the Reiki Circle and you've been introducing us to this amazing thing called the sound bowl, the crystal sound bowls.
Yes,
and
singing bowls.
The singing bowls. And how did that evolve for you?
Okay, so first of all, it happened at the Reiki Circle. The first, this would have been probably back in June. A gentleman by the name of Jay Shui showed up. Him and Megan. They travel all over the country with their crystal singing bowls, and they teach. And they came to a Reiki Circle, and they had a practitioner's bowls with them, which is a bowl. You can't see this, but it's a bowl that has a handle on it. It's a crystal singing bowl. You can actually pick it up with your hand and play it. And they came. I'm going to play this for just a second.
Folks, we're going to meditate and fall asleep into beautiful bliss right now. No, I'm just joking.
So
beautiful.
During the Reiki Circle, they came out and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen a bowl with a handle on it. And they while the Reiki energy is being channeled and everyone's in their meditative state, then they start playing the bowls. And I just immediately, I just like, oh, like that's what I'm doing. Like I could feel just like this. Intensify would not be the right way to say it. It enhances the energy.
Okay.
So like when I'm playing the bowls, and I'll just, for example, I imagine, so, when two or more gather in my name, right? That's, in the Bible. So I always imagine, so we're getting together. So you and I are together.
Yes.
And you and I we're talking. So our thoughts, and I like to imagine little bubbles all around us, right? They're just kind of like just bouncing off each other, dancing around and having fun.
Right.
Well, then you add sound to it. And I almost almost imagine that like universes start to just like not collide, but just like come together, because that sound resonates on so many levels,
Right.
and down to our like cellular level, right? So it's just like a dance, and it's the spirit. It's like we now are co-creating in a dance using sound and our voice together now. Yeah, and then so when you have a moment like that, what you can do is like, this is where I have these. I'm not really sure what these are called.
Okay.
But just to like almost like just shift the energy, kind of clear the energy. You just kind of. It just takes that thought we were just in, and now we're in a new thought.
In a new thought. I definitely want everyone to have felt that as it goes through, the sound and the microphone, because I think that's really important. It almost kind of teases people that have been local in Houston, that if you haven't been to a Reiki circle and if you haven't had the crystal singing bowls, then you might want to just stop by on a Saturday, because it's really, I know, having been in that room with both you and Tanette the Light, who is also going to be joining us on a future podcast, having you both in there, I know the level of healing goes up, because I know I'm feeling it, Totally. So I can imagine for the people who are maybe coming maybe a first or second time and they're sitting in that environment, they're getting like a huge healing moment. And I think that's why that Reiki circle in particular is really important in the, our city, and hopefully things like that just kind of like cascade out.
Yes. Vibrate out. Yeah. I to go back to, because you mentioned Tanette the Light, so I have to go
back. Because you guys have.
I would like to touch upon that, because, I was volunteering, so I volunteer at Unity. I teach Sunday school. I was doing the Reiki circle. I was kind of doing all these different little things, right? And then I knew Tanette from the Oneness group at Unity. I probably met him a few years ago, but we had never really connected. But we kept running into each other at Unity. And there was a day that I think it was a family fun day, right, where they had the bouncy houses out and everything. And Tanette was taking photos, and we said hello to each other. And we started to kind of walk away, but then we just kind of came back to each other, and we just started talking. And from that experience, we became friends. We became really close friends, and instrumental in my growth, right, is having connection with someone that shares a vision that's similar to yours. And that's what Tanette has been for me, right? And I think for each other, we've been able to do that. And so, so now we're playing crystal singing bowls together. He comes to my work. I do meditations at work where I play crystal singing bowls, which I would have never imagined in a million years I'd be doing at work in a corporate environment, where I'm actually going down to one of the big auditoriums, and 30 to 40 people come on a given Thursday to come meditate with me, which is amazing. Yeah. So Tanette comes, and he's like our special guest. So every once in a while he'll come and he'll play his bowls, and I play my bowls at work. That's amazing. Those are the things. So it's like combining what I was doing spiritually with what I do, to earn money, right? So, the place I call work that I go to, that I choose to go to each day, I used to keep all this separate. And now those walls are fading, and it's all becoming, it's me, Ollie. So I'm Mystic Ollie. The moment is what I have, what has the name that has come to me. So, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, on the path, because, this is not linear.
Yes.
It's up, down, left, right, but it's still going in one direction, but it's just not linear. Everybody has their challenges. Okay. What have you found that challenges you to grow while you've been on this journey so far?
Speaking my truth.
Oh, man.
Yes. So, it's like I lost my voice, and now it's returning. And that the nervousness that I used to feel, was because I didn't want to speak. Okay. I was scared to speak. I was afraid of what other people would think. I was afraid of being embarrassed. I had a lot of fear, right, from childhood and what have you. So now that I have been able to start turning that around, right, I can feel the excitement now. And now when I feel that, it's like, oh, this is really just excitement. It's like anticipation. Mm-hmm. It's like a little kid that's about to go to the fair for the first time, right? And they're just imagining what that's going to be. Mm-hmm. That's what, for me, that's what I feel now. Okay. And so to sit with you and have this interview, I felt those same emotions, right? Those same feelings, but it's like I knew that, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to just speak my truth. Yeah. And whatever comes up, comes up. Mm-hmm. And I'm finding I'm surrendering more. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's part for the course to find our voices, because we live in a world where we are almost told not to be that person, mm-hmm. or to just be, because I can attest to the fact that I've been through that. And this podcast was a big leap for me, right? Because I had to take it seriously, and I had to put myself out there that I'm going to be doing this to share with the people that have been important to my journey. Yes. And I don't know who's going to listen, right? But I don't care.
Yes. And, so an example that I have of like my voice, right? Mm-hmm. Finding my voice, actually started to come through these crystal singing bowls. Oh. By playing with the sounds, right? Mm-hmm. It relaxes, and it actually gets people out of their head more, right? Mm-hmm. And you just, in myself as I'm playing them, right? So it's made it easier for me, to just be able to speak. Okay. But it's translating now. I don't have to have the bowls, right? This was like a tool that I've been playing with. Okay. And so now it's like I'm able to speak without them, but I enjoy playing with them. Mm-hmm. Right? They just enhance the meditations. So one day I was at work and I didn't want to be there. And it was just a feeling that I had when I got to work. And then once I walked into the office and everyone was, and I got to see everyone for the first time in the morning, the mood was just not a mood that I really wanted to be in. Right. You couldn't even say good morning to someone. It was just everyone was in a not good mood, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so at lunchtime I left the building and I thought, I really don't want to go back in there. But then I remembered I had my bowls in the car. I was like, I'm going to bring one of my bowls in. And then the second I thought it, I got happy. Yeah. And then I thought, oh, they're going to think I'm weird. They're going to think I'm weird. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's okay. Bring the bowl in. So I brought the bowl in. I literally brought it in. I had 3 meetings that afternoon, so back-to-back meetings. Uh-huh. I brought the bowl to the 3 meetings, and I walked into a meeting, sat down, pulled the bowl out, and started playing. Wow. and I could feel that there were some people that thought I was weird, but I also felt the calmness in the room. Like the energy, it just shifted, and people just stopped talking, and they just relaxed. And that when I was playing, the lady that was sitting next to me, I just remember her. She was, oh wow, that's so calming. And so I did that. So 2 more meetings I went to, I did the same thing. And the next day, I had several emails from people telling me that they were glad that I brought the bowl in, that they could feel the peace. Mm-hmm. And then I had one email from a person that said, you should teach meditation. I would take the class. So yeah, so that's how I do meditation at work now. So again, that's what I mean. So these showed up in my life as kind of like hey, you can use us. We're here for you, right? Like we're going to be your friends. That's really beautiful. So yeah.
Okay, so, now I'm seeing the big picture. Okay.
So then finding my voice, now as I play the bowls, right, I've been practicing with actually guiding meditation, which was hard for me in the beginning because, you have to, it's trusting the thoughts that you do get, right? So from your heart, you have this feeling, then it's translated in your mind, right? And then you get an image of what to say. And then do you translate that right out so that it makes sense. Right. And so I was kind of in this place of being stuck in this translation place where I was like, do I say that? Do I not say that? Do I say that? And then of course then your thoughts go all over the place. Okay. So now I'm finding that as I'm practicing, it's like, oh, you have the thought, just say it. Right. Don't get hung up on it. Yeah. Just let it out. Yeah. And it's showing up vulnerable. And so because I'm showing up vulnerable, it's working. And I'm not worried about what people think of me. And I can do this with people that I work with. And I can talk about love in our heart and in a meditation that I would have never imagined before. I could have not imagined this, right? And that's where I know that, there's truly love all around us. We're fully supported. And there has to be a God, because I could have never imagined doing this.
Right, on your own.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, it's really beautiful. You just sent shivers down my spine. You actually just kind of like opened up something for me, which we will talk about after the interview. But you just literally answered a question that I'd had in my mind for a while about another topic. But that's how this works. It's kind of like when 2 or 3 get together.
Yes.
This is when spirit shows up.
So I had pulled something that I told you when we were getting ready for the interview. I was like, I'm not sure. Something's telling me to go get this. So I got it and I sat it here, talking about when 2 or 3 more gather in my name. So, I was driving down the freeway a few months ago, and I had this memory as I'm driving that I used to play with this white sedan Hot Wheel. Okay. And as a kid, 8, 9 years old, and I would play with it. And to me, as a kid, I would pretend that it was a limousine, and I was being driven around in a limousine, right? And it was like, oh, wow. So in the second I had that thought, as I'm driving the car down the freeway, I'm driving Clint's car, my husband's car. He drives a white Lexus sedan. And I thought, I'm driving the car.
Wow.
And the thing about when a thought hits you and you know that it's the right thought, like you just know it's the right feeling, you just know it. So it's like right when I had that thought of the Hot Wheel, and then the memory of and I'm driving now the car that I used to play with as a kid. It's like, wow. And then in that same thought I remembered drawing my great grandmother a picture of a house when I was a kid, and I wrote "I love you" on it. And my great grandmother used to put all of the things that we used to create on her walls. So in her bedroom, she would sit, and I have to imagine sit in meditation, right, just looking at all the things that that she loved and the people that she loved. And and then I had the realization. I was like, I drew our house when I was a kid. So I'm gonna show you this to you, Debbie, because you know our house. So there's the double doors. There's the balcony. The big roof, the garage on the side.
Our listeners can't see this, but I know what their house looks like. And I'm looking at Ollie's drawing of his house.
When I was a kid.
When you were a kid.
Yeah. So it's when we talk of oneness and spirituality, right, everything starts to come together. And like I'm actually feel like I can start crying right now, because it's just... I never imagined that I would be telling the story.
Beautiful.
But it's true, right? You know it in your heart. And, how I found unity, like how I really found unity. So my mother would have called herself born again Christian. And she studied the Bible in a different way than I do, right? And which is fine, there's no judgment, because I think that was her and our path really as a family.
Right.
But she would send me, and I love this because, Unity does the daily word. She would send me an email, like on occasion, daily word, or she would even print it out and handwrite what she felt about it, and she would mail it to me. And she didn't really know anything about Unity, but the message obviously moved her enough to want to share that with me. And the other thing, I'm gay and I'm married to my husband. Though she never really verbalized her discontent with my relationships, I knew that was always there. And there would be times that she would say things, but never really directed, like in a face-to-face with her, right? But I knew that it was there. And what I've let me breathe into my heart for a second. I know that my mother loved me so much that in her belief system, she thought that I was going to go to hell. And out of her concern and her love, right, she really pushed me towards unity. Right? And I know that. And it's not in a way of, a hell or a heaven or a right or a wrong. She loved me so much. And that's awesome. And in her belief system, she wanted what was best for me in her mind, right? And so that gives me peace. And, anyway, so thank you.
When I started to decide I wanted to do this stuff and share my friends, I know you guys.
Yeah.
I know you guys.
Right.
But I think sitting in this kind of setting and talking about this stuff, Ollie, it just really opens everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you very much.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
Oh my goodness, for doing this. Thank you. Especially today, because I needed it today. Okay, so closing out the interviews, I don't tell people this one thing that I always ask them.
Okay.
Because when I started working on Viva Divine, the purpose was to help one person. There's a person out there that's either going through what I'm going through or is going through what you're going through. And I wanted to help that one person so much that I dedicated my life to this, right? Wow. So I always ask the people that I, bring on, my friends, so just consider that there is this one person out there and they're listening to this episode, to you. What can you tell them that you know that Spirit wants them to know?
That they are completely loved. And that there really are no wrong choices. However, God would never ask you to do anything that would harm yourself or anyone else. And that includes the way you take care of yourself and take care of your mind and body. And that intuitively, we always know what choice to make. And you know what choice to make. Yeah.
Okay. On behalf of that one person, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to sign off from this amazing moment. I need to hug this man and thank him profusely from my heart. And I really hope that if there's one person out there that really needed to hear Ollie today, that you heard him and know that, as he said, you're loved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ollie.
I love you so much.
I love you too. And so there it is, my friends, my wonderful chat with my friend Ollie. We actually talked for a good hour after taping the episode, and lots of really open-hearted moments. But one of the things that I took from my conversation with him, actually two things. The first one is finding your voice. And I know for me, this podcast is the way that I'm finding my voice. And I'm also stepping into spaces that are really new and being a little bit more transparent with my life and opening up and sharing my story. And being vulnerable. I think sometimes we think vulnerability is a weakness, but I like to look at it as a strength. When I am feeling my most vulnerable, my most open, is usually when I am at my most powerful space. So I hope you enjoyed Ollie's conversation. And if you are that one person out there, don't forget that you are loved.